All right, okay, we live, man. So I just want to say peace and blessings to the family, ETM Hotel. Welcome in peace, Rennie Shawn. My name is Shawn. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in today to the deck, to the Massa Warrior clan who just left the other show and who's going to spend a little time with us. We're not going to be long. Before we jump into the presentation, because I know we just really coming up in people's notifications. Brother Kofi, I know you might not want to say nothing, but if you want to say something, man, you can go ahead and say it. Just give me a second while I close the door.
I just want to say, Bamu Lafayette, Bamu Iwa Pele, um, Igun Majube Iwa Egungun Kiki, Egungun. I always have to get honor and praises to the ancestors because, again, without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. I am, or we are our ancestors. Welcome back to the Mossi Warrior Clan YouTube channel. We want to thank y'all for tuning in with us. We want to thank y'all for supporting the channel. Um, my brother got a great presentation today, which I am excited about. Um, I think y'all gonna enjoy the presentation, enjoy the bill. Um, that's all I have.
All right, man. Don't forget to like the show, share the show. I mean, if you rock with the Mossy, like the show, share the show, and show some support. Kofi, if you can probably click it on my
Lock it on.
screen.
Yeah, I got it
Yeah, we're
locked.
gonna rock it out straight. Let me know. You got me?
Yeah, you going, you sharing. I'm looking on the other end.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Once upon a time, three brothers lived with their family in a tiny village in Africa. One day, disaster struck. First, their mother died, and the next day, their father died too. And the next week, all their aunts and uncles and cousins died, for a disease swept through the village. The boys, alone but for each other, at first could do nothing but cry and wail. They were so unhappy and miserable, but after a while, their sadness turned to anger. They were angry at death for taking away all the people they loved. They talked about what to do. We'll go into the world and search for death, said the eldest brother. When we find death, we'll kill it, he said. His younger brothers agreed. They gathered all their belongings and set off to search the world for death. As they walked, they passed many travelers. Whenever they stopped to say hello, the people asked the brothers where they were going. We're going to find death, said the eldest brother. We're going to kill death, the second brother said. Yes, said the youngest. We're going to find death and we're going to kill it. People laughed when they heard this answer. You will never kill death. You are on a fool's errand. They taunted the boys. After many days, the brothers met an old man on the road. The man asked the boys where they were going. We're going to find death, said the eldest. We're going to kill death, the second brother said. And the third brother said, yes, we're going to find death and kill it because it took away all our loved ones. The old man did not laugh. Instead, he gazed thoughtfully at the boys and said, stop your search. Searching for death will destroy you. Go home and live your lives in peace. The brothers looked angrily at him and stomped their feet. We will find death and kill it, they repeated. The old man shrugged. Since you are determined, I can tell you where to look for death. They listened closely as the man described to them the path that would lead them to death's door. Then they thanked the man and walked in the direction he had given them. First, they reached the tall tree the old man had described. Then, as he had instructed them, they began to dig in the soil close to the tree. That's where you shall find death, the old man had told them. A few feet underground, the brothers discovered a box. When they lifted it and opened its heavy wooden lid, they saw seven glittery gold coins. The moment they saw gold, they forgot all about their plans to kill death. Look, said the eldest brother, we are rich. We'll each take a coin, and with the extra coins, one of us will go to the town and buy food. We should celebrate our good fortune with a feast. I'll go, the youngest brother offered, and he took the extra coin and headed toward the town. As he walked, he began to dream of the treasures he could buy for himself with seven coins. After a while, he began to wish he had no brothers, that he could keep all the money for himself. Soon he came up with a plan. I'll buy some poison in the town. If the brothers drink the poison, they will die. Then I will be rich and comfortable for the rest of my life. He ran the rest of the way into town. Meanwhile, the two other brothers waiting at the tree began to talk. If only we did not have a youngest brother, the eldest said, then we would each have three coins. The middle brother smiled. I know what we'll do. And he whispered a plan to his brother. As the sun reached its highest point in the sky, the youngest brother returned. He carried bread and wine, which he had poisoned. When he saw the tree, he looked around. He could not see his brothers. Brothers, where are you? He called. I brought our feast. The two older brothers jumped from their hiding place behind a bush and killed their youngest brother. Afterwards, they sat down to enjoy the bread and wine. Before long, of course, they died of poisoning. The next day, the old man walked to the tree, and when he saw the three boys lying dead, he wept. I told you to return home and spend your lives in peace, he said, kneeling over the bodies. You were not wise enough to listen to a wise old man, and now you have found death. And when all the people heard this tale, they understood that they could never destroy death. They only stood to that they must never allow selfishness and greed to destroy their love for each other.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Death represents any end of cycle, for example, the end of poverty, the end of ill health, the end of confusion, and the end of loneliness. In this context, death is positive and always represents the end of a cycle, for example, the end of infancy, the end of childhood, the end of adulthood, and ultimately the end of this life as a stepping stone for the next life. Death is not the end of life, but a transformation of it. It is profound crossing over the soul from this world into the next. When we pass on, we become ancestors residing close to spirit. Crossing over is the final and grandest initiation we make on our life's journey. All of our initiations, teachings, and lessons are a preparation for the final moment where we experience our most significant rite of passage. We now have more influence, more power, and more insight to guide and instruct those who remain embodied. When we cross over, we are able to promote the well-being, the unity, and the peace of the community. Many of us believe in reincarnation of the spirit. Each time we cross over, spirit keeps a piece of our soul until we are eventually fully united with spirit. Although death was not a part of the original human condition, or maybe because of it, traditional African societies are laden with rituals, beliefs, and practices that acknowledge, affirm, grieve, and heal the inevitable effects of death. Death stands between the human and spiritual worlds. Without it, there would be no distinction between the two. With it comes a disruption of harmony. Therefore, rituals associated with death are designed to restore order. For the community, the age and circumstance of a person's death are important. Natural deaths are rare with the exception of extreme old age. Africans often suspect malevolence from humans or spirits as the first cause. The prolonged suffering, pain, or sickness that may accompany death is often an indicator of malevolent activities. Typically, bodies are buried in family compounds, although in some cultures they may be left in the forest. Rituals consist of preparations of the body and periods of public grieving, which includes singing, dancing, settling the stage, and transferring family eldership. These rituals are spaced out over days, weeks, and months after deaths. The deaths of children, the unmarried, or the childless are treated differently and traditionally do not receive full burial rites. Those who die by lightning also receive special treatment. The transition into the spiritual realm starts during life, when individuals are moral and generous. Thus, they can look forward to continuing to be a member of the family as an ancestor. Ancestors can offer protection and guidance in return, are given life through the acts of remembrance by their families. It is believed that once an individual is no longer mentioned by name or remembered, they become a part of the collective immortality. Those who do not transition into the world of spirits as ancestors are those who are not properly mourned or remembered, did not have children, or engaged in evil practices. These dead will not be in any position to assist the family and in fact can cause misfortune to the community in general. Some of us give the dying a glass of water with a prayer before they cross over. We often communicate during this time through drum, dance, song, and conversation with the spirit itself. The community may learn of death through the drum. The moment there is a declaration of death, we observe silence in the presence of the deceased until we can clean the body. Afterward, we can express our range of emotions wholeheartedly. Our outward expressions of mourning can last for months. We take great care in cleaning and preparing the body, bathing it with special herbs. The cleansing can last up to 3 days. We dress the body in fine clothing and shoes, maybe even a hat and sunglasses. We may place the body in a chair or at the bedside for everyone in the community to come and visit. We construct and prepare the coffin. We prepare the grave. We prepare the grave and may leave a stick or wood in the grave as a notice to any other wandering spirit not to occupy the site. Now, it is often when one crosses over, it occurs in one's own country or town. We often attempt to bury the body where the person was born. If a loved one passes on outside of the village, we will provide the corpse with a magical object to carry to help him or her walk home. Many among us bury our loved ones the 1st, 3rd, 7th, or 14th day after their transition. We give much thought to our burial places and we never cremate the bodies. Traditionally, we wrap the body in white cloth or in mud cloth and place it in the ground without a coffin. Some of us bury our loved ones behind our compound or house. Others of us bury our departed in the sacred baobab tree, most of us move the body to the burial place some distance away. The coffin is taken to the grave, sometimes in a nearby forest. We place importance on what our loved ones must wear. We think about the food or supplies they need to take with them. We add money, food, and drink inside the coffin. Sometimes we lay gifts inside the burial case for our ancestors. Many of us place the branch of a natoro tree, the tree of abundance and rebirth, inside the coffin of our loved ones. We see death as a voyage, and we must properly prepare our loved ones for their travels to the sacred realm. Death is a journey that we are mindful to prepare for throughout our lives, through our actions and behaviors.
And when we go in the spot where the person died, we take the branch of a buffalo tree. We go there in that spot where the person died to get the spirit, and we bring the spirit to this house of the ancestors. Because if you don't get the spirit, you don't consider that person as the ancestor until you get the spirit from that spot where the person died. We 2 or 3 women with the buffalo tree to get the spirit. So from the spot where the person died, they wait outside the gate, and then one family member will bring the goats. Let the goat to eat some of the leaves from that branch of the buffalo tree. If the goat refuses to eat the leaves, it means we have lost the spirit somewhere. Then we have to go back and get the spirits until the goat will eat some of the leaves from that branch of the buffalo tree. So when the goat ate the leaves, we take the goat, we bring the goat to this house. Then the old person will burn the incense. They will go to the ancestors, so that so she always now joining them as the ancestors. Take the goat out in the crowd, we slaughter the goat, take the skin off. We dry the skins using them as sleeping mats or in sleeping mats. Take the gallbladder, keep the gallbladder here. The bones and the bones, will keep them there. So it should be a sign for the person who comes in this house. When you see the bones, the gallbladder, the skins of the goat, then the person will know that this is the house of the ancestors. We believe we have to pay more respect to this house. We take the meat from the crawl after we slaughter the goat using this meat tray. It's a wooden tray. Carry the meat from the crawl, and we bring the meat here. We keep the meat a few minutes as an offering to the ancestors. After that, we take the meat up in the kitchen, cook the meat there, then we save the meat on this meat trays. You can see that different sides. The big one is small one. The big one is for the women's. The small one is for the men's. The women's is more, we eat less, because they have more work to do anything. You collect firewood, cleaning, cooking, fetching water. Looking after the children, so they must eat more so that, yeah, so they can cook for us. Okay.
All right, so basically in the video, what he was explaining was this is an ancestral home. This is where they would bring in the body and do some of the things that they need to do to prepare the body for its transition into the next world or wherever it's going to go, or the burial site. In carrying the coffin to the grave, we do not carry it through the village street, but by the rear of the houses. Carrying the body through the village can create all kinds of difficulties, such as a crop failure and supply shortages. During the carrying of the body, people in the community must not move about from place to place, but must remain at the spot where they were when the coffin passed until the burial is complete. This is a ritual. Women with small children must not travel along the same route where we carry the coffin, so they will not become ill. This is a belief. We face the head of the body toward the east when we lay it into the ground, a custom. We observe silence as we rest the body into the earth, respect. We may pour libations on the coffin before we cover it with the soil, ritual, a custom. We pour libation onto the ground, we always do. After the work of the burial, the men may bathe in a body of water, such as a lake or a river, to clean themselves with water for purification after digging the grave. Anything that we use for the burial, such as the wood on which the body was carried, we leave near the grave. These objects contain potent levels of nyame and are dangerous for the living. This is a popular Gakuyu story that I'm about to tell you. You can look up this tribe if you want to know more information, or stay tuned in the future, because you never know, Kofi Paisai will drop a tribe on you in a heartbeat. A popular Gakuyu tale holds that long ago, Ngaia's messenger, Chameleon, had been sent to relay the very simple phrase but extremely important message that man would never die. However, Chameleon was too slow, and then Gaia, perhaps eager that the people should receive quickly the good tidings, dispatched the second messenger, the bird, Inyamendigi. For unknown reasons, the bird corrupted the original message. Man would die and perish forever. Like the roots of the mythical Makongo plant, this may help to explain why Chameleon is not a very popular Gakoyu folktale character. A common death superstition relates to an owl hooting near a homestead of the perching anywhere within its compound. This is taken as an omen of imminent death within the homestead. In the past, this required purification, but in contemporary times, it is enough to just hurl objects at the bird to drive it away. The Gakuyu interfered only elders and the rich, since the burial of young people was symbolically seen as burying the nation's future. Corpses of the poor and those that had not attained eldership were normally abandoned in bushes, and scavengers, mainly hyenas, determined their fate. Because of his legendary greed and for his sole role in consuming corpses, hyena in Gakuyu folktales is rewarded with the most contemptible roles. As funerals are a major public event, and most of the time spectacular feast, at least when the defunct is an elder, they have often been filmed. Now, Jean Rouche, sometimes with the help of Germaine Detillion, has made many films on Dogon funerals. Cemetery in the Cliff, filmed in 1951, follows the Dogon funeral ritual of a man who died in the village of Ireli. Funerals in Bongo, Aniadolo, in 1848 to 1970, chronicles the funeral of an elder of the Mass Society who was reputed to be 122 years old. The burial of the Hogan, in this instance, 1972, describes the funeral rites as the Hogan, the paramount religious leader of the Sangha region, dies and is buried. Now, the Hunter warrior gathers near the deceased priest's house and simulated a battle using guns, spears, or millet stalks, while the body is placed in the sacred cave. This is a ritual. The shooting of the Ambara Dama in 74 is a remarkable story. Ambara had given the information of the funeral rituals Dama to Marcel Grill, the initiator of the huge ethnographic project on the Dogon. Get familiar with that. Years later and years after Grill's death, his former student, Jean Roche, used the book to film the funeral of Ambara. Interestingly enough, in 56, Francois Didio had filmed the Dogon funerals of Professor Marcel Grill as the Dogon celebrated the memory of the man who studied their customs for so many years. Roche also films some films on the funeral rituals, Pam Kusi Kar in 74, Sonar Kuma in 75, Kuma in 78. He eventually filmed the Mor Naba in 57, the funeral ceremony, traditional leader of the Mossi of the Ouagadougou region of the Upper Volta, now Burkina Faso. The film contains the election ceremonies for the successor, the feast, and the ending of the mourning, and the ceremony in place with the warriors in traditional dress. These processions are extraordinary, with the elder daughter and elder son incarnating the defunct chief in different parts of the ritual, as does a wood statue carried by the dancers. To sum this up, the study of funerals, proceedings, and the transition of death has been well documented in not only the areas of West Africa that I mentioned, but really all over the continent of Africa. And yes, they have videos and documentaries and books on these proceedings. We sing, we dance, we cry, and we celebrate. We cry for the loss of the physical presence of our loved ones. We celebrate their new exalted status in the sacred realm of the ancestors. Some of us may shave our heads and leave our hair at the door of the deceased. Those of us mourning wear black, or in some communities we wear red. Some of us mark our faces with ashes of chalk, and others of us write with chalk on the walls of our homes. Pregnant women and mothers with young children are vulnerable to the highest levels of Nyame during this time and keep a distance from the center of the mourning and ceremonies. In our songs and prayers, we recount the greatness of our ancestors. We may bring gifts to the family to show our love and support. Every year, or a few years, we hold a ceremony to honor those who have crossed over. We may clean the cemetery. Sometimes we sacrifice a chicken at the crossroads upon the passing of our loved ones, signaling the changes we are experiencing. Here are my sources and picture references. Pause the video, take your screenshot, deal with it how you want to deal with it. Before I go to the next slide, Kofi, you got anything that you want to put out in the air? If you ain't went to sleep.
Nah, man.
Okay, so you still woke?
Yeah, I'm still woke, man. Nah, man. I ain't really got too much, man. I mean, just you just we just keep reiterating some of the same things that's dealing with the culture, uh, and the rituals, and I just hope people are paying attention to some of the customs, as far as what you were saying, as far as burial. A lot of we don't burn the bodies. Certain things we do for as mourning rituals or grieving rituals, painting of the faces, cutting of the hair, shaving of the hair, and certain things like that, man. Uh, I mean, yeah, good presentation. I really ain't got too much to say, man.
Okay, so we're gonna move right along before Kofi started to run his mouth again.
I'm done.
You done? So you
Yeah.
don't. So Satep and Ryan got a show this evening.
Oh shoot. Yeah. Tune in this evening, y'all. 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Kofi Pieside TV. Brother Satep Mara, Mary Armin, who is also a member of the Seshuma Ani Meta Group. will be doing a presentation this evening. Let me get the name of it, man. It's gonna be a powerful bill, man. I think everybody need to tune in. It's called "The Forgotten History of Human Zoos and Scientific Racism." Again, the forgotten history of human zoos and scientific racism on Kofi Paisai TV at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The presentation will be presented by Satepan Rob Mariaman, uh, uh, Shawn, any Herit Shawn Khalfani, aka Brother Iwap Ruru will be on the panel. Brother Vasa Nicolo will be on the panel. Probably Asar Ka will be on the panel, and I also be on the panel this evening. So tune in, tune in. Tell a friend and tell a friend about the show. Also tell a friend and tell a friend about the show uh, today. That's it, Shawn.
All right, family. If you just hung in there with us the last 30 minutes, I tried not to take a lot of your time. I wanted to give you enough information where you could actually get the visualization. That's why I started with the story. So hopefully, the story that I started with, a lot of people can go back and be like, man, and really, really listen to that actual story because you can see yourself in that particular story. Not not so much as betraying your own brother or sister, but maybe it's an old friend or a neighbor, or maybe it's somebody that you never really liked in school. You see what I'm saying? So you could change the dynamics of the situation with it, take the brothers out and put somebody else in. So that's the way we need to start really looking at things. Do we really want to search for death and deal with it from that perspective? But hopefully through this entire presentation, something was learned and it could be shared with your family members and friends. You could pass this particular link out to somebody who may be in the middle of mourning or going through an experience themselves, and maybe this will help them get some type of an insight or understanding, or prepare them in the future. So, with that being said, man, y'all know what it is.
How do you think your ancestors got paid? Paid a fair price. Or did they take it with everything else?
History is a clock that people use to tell their political and cultural time of day. It is also a compass that people use to find themselves on the map of human geography. History tells of people where they have been, what they have been, where they are, and what they are. Like a warrior, walk like a warrior, walk like a warrior, walk like a warrior. I ain't talking about no hustler, I ain't talking about no gangster. I'm hollering at them soldiers, revolutionary culture. Bang on out.
All right, peace to the family, man. Again, share the show, like the show. Um, Stay tuned for Kofi Pasa this evening, and I believe Kofi Pasa TV this evening for uh, Sin Tepin Ra Mary Amon's presentation. It's going to be a powerful build, trust me. And we look forward to seeing y'all again um, next week, same time next week. Peace.
Peace.